Okay, so if doing it alone is costing us so much in terms of our stress management, and just overall satisfaction, what's the alternative? How do we actually build support? I promised you that I would give you some steps, step by step ways in order to do that, and here it is. The key word to remember is reciprocal, not transactional. Not I'm going to help you if you help me, or so you can owe me. And we're going to be getting into this in depth in just one moment. Hi there, and welcome to Stress Talk. This is a recorded video. I promised you that I would give you step by step ways in, excuse me, to create a support system because we are talking about the second thing that I am, the second pillar that I am using to build a thing that I'm going to share with you in a couple of weeks. That was a little convoluted, so excuse me. But right now, we're going to be talking about building reciprocal support systems. So, in the intro, I talked about how doing things alone is costing us, and it is. And in the previous live with Marcelin, I talked about how we need to build reciprocal support systems. And the question was, how do we do that? This video, I hope, will answer that for you. And it's getting dark here, and I'm afraid that it's going to storm. You all, we have been under a deluge. It's almost like it's monsoon season here in Southeast Georgia, and it looks like another storm is coming. So I'm hoping that I will get through this recording before the storms hit. Okay, so stay with me. Stay with me. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about, let me put up some banners so you can see exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about building reciprocal support systems, and this is a continuation of the live stream that I did a couple of weeks ago. Yes, I took a week off because I was just tired. I was tired. I'm working hard, and I was tired, and I needed to rest. So I hope you don't mind that. But we've been talking about the hidden cost of doing it all alone. And, as women, we often do it alone. We often, we just do it ourselves because we think we don't have support. Well, a lot of it, I'm looking at the trees blowing. Whew, stay focused. Okay, I'm going to stay focused. I want to stay focused and not pay attention to the trees blowing in the wind. Okay. We often go alone because we think we don't have support, or we haven't cultivated support systems that work for us. Well, I'm going to share with you several things. I'm going to share with you types of support systems. I'm going to share with you practical steps to build your support system. And then I'm also going to share with you a few examples of ways to ask for support, as well as some action steps. And as I said, I'm hoping to get through this before the storm hits, because it's going to storm again. Okay, so first, let's talk about three types of support systems. First, there's the transactional support system. And that transactional support system is basically you did X for me, so I'm going to do Y for you. It's tit for tat. With this transactional support system, there's often scorekeeping or record keeping. You keep score in your head regarding what someone else did for you or what you did for someone else. And if they are not doing the same things or something that you feel is equitable or equal, it can cause you to feel resentful. It can also cause you to be exhausted because you're constantly trying to figure out what someone did, what you should do, and how to keep things balanced and equitable. Transactional support system. There's also a one directional support system. In the one directional support system, it's I'm the strong one. I'm being silly. I'm the strong one. Therefore, I'm going to give. I'm going to give. Or I'm the struggling one and I receive. Neither one is sustainable. If you're giving all the time, that's not sustainable. If you're receiving all the time, that's not sustainable either. If you're giving, you're going to burn out, right? And that's where a lot of us are. We're at that burnout point. And if you're receiving, at some point, you're going to feel like you're being made to be smaller than you are, right? So, one directional support is not sustainable either. We've talked about transactional support, we've talked about one directional support. Now, I want to talk about reciprocal support. And this is where we all want to be. This is the Ubuntu version of support. I am because we are. The Ubuntu version of support. When we're talking about reciprocal support, we're talking about mutual care. And we exhibit mutual care because we recognize that we have a shared humanity. We show up for each other, not because we feel obligated to do so, but because we have a relationship that is built on who we are and our shared humanity, not just on what we do for each other or what we can do for each other, not because what we do for each other or because of what we can do for each other. Sometimes you're the giver, sometimes you're the receiver in a reciprocal support system. The thing is, you trust that it's going to balance over time. And again, it may not balance over time. It may not. The bottom line is that you have a genuine connection with someone else and with others. That is the bottom line. Reciprocal, think about it this way, reciprocal when it comes to support doesn't mean that it's 50-50 all the time, that it's equal or that it's balanced all the time, that the scale is balanced all the time. You trust that it will balance and it's based on genuine care, not on debt, not on receivables, right? What someone owes you. So we've been talking about three types of support systems. One is the transactional support system, the other is the one directional support system, and the third is the reciprocal support system. And that's what we're striving for. And this is the overarching idea and concept behind Ubuntu. And again, that is the second pillar of this thing that I'm going to reveal to you all in a couple of weeks. So I hope you stay with me for that. So we've talked about three types of support systems. Now let's talk about how we do that. How do we go about building this reciprocal support system. Okay, so this is how we do it. And I'm going to give you 4 steps. So if you need to write it down or just come back to this video and you can watch it again. The 4 steps. Number 1 is to start with awareness. Awareness. I talk about awareness all the time. Where are you? Where are you only showing up as the strong one? In what situations do you always show up as, what did I say, what I do before? The strong one. Where do you show up as that? And how often do you show up as that? The other is, with whom do you have vulnerable relationships? That's another key, because sometimes we get into situations where we feel we have to do something in order to maintain a relationship. Now, I could go on and on about that, but you want to be aware of the person or the persons you have vulnerable relationships with and on what those relationships are built. Are they built on your giving? Are they built on your taking all the time? Or are they built on shared humanity, genuine care and shared humanity? Then, as we're talking about starting with awareness, what would you change if you let people see who you are really? What would you change anything? If you're not the strong one, if you're not showing up as the strong one, what are people going to see? That's a whole nother, it's a whole nother uh, discussion. And I have those conversations in my private practice all the time. How I can't let them see that I am not strong. I have to be the strong one. Yeah, why? 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 Why is that? So we have to start with awareness, because when we are aware of how we're showing up in our support system, then we can decide how we want to show up and begin to change. We can also become aware of how others are going to view that. Doesn't need to stop us from changing, but we can be aware of how they might view it. The second step, so start with awareness. That's the first step. The second step is to practice small asks. Don't wait for a crisis to occur. Like, hey, I'm stranded on I-95 and my car is on fire. Can you help me? That's a crisis, especially if it's storming. It hasn't started storming yet, but if it's storming, or if you're on I-95 in the northern part of the United States and it's dead of winter and your car is dead on the side of the road, that's a crisis. You don't want to wait for a crisis. You want to practice small asks. Okay? Ask for something that's manageable. Like, can you provide feedback on an email that I'm writing? Or, hey, can you help me with a small project? You know what? I need somebody who can just listen to me for 5 minutes. I just feel like I need to vent. Those are small things. And I know that we do that. We do. We ask for small things. That was just thunder. That was thunder. I had to pause because that was thunder. Okay, let me get back on track. And we do that. However, we want to make sure that we're reciprocal about it. Are we venting to someone, to a specific person all the time because they're a good listener, but when it's their turn, are we not available? We want to make sure it's reciprocal. So under practicing small asks, we also want to notice what happens when people say yes. What happens when people say yes to us? And then receive gracefully. You want to practice that as well. So, practicing small asks. Don't wait for a crisis. Ask for something that's manageable. Notice what happens when people say yes. Okay, there's some more thunder. Notice when people say yes, and then practice receiving gracefully. I'm going to get through this, you all. We're going to get through this video. I'm going to post it. Probably post it after the storm, but passes, but we're going to get through it. I keep looking back out the window because it is dark. I'm looking at that window. It's dark. It's getting darker. Okay. So that's step number 2. Step number 3 is you want to be explicit about reciprocity. Say it. Say it. I value that we're both here for each other. Say it. Create mutual agreements. Let's be accountability partners. And then really be available. Make reciprocity visible so that it's not something that is an expectation, but it's invisible. Okay? Be very explicit. You want to name it by saying, I value that we're both here for each other. You want to create mutual agreements by saying, let's be accountability partners. And then you want to just put it out there so it's not questionable, so that it's not an invisible expectation. Step 4, you want to expand your circle. Just expand your circle. Find a community that you belong in. And sometimes we're hesitant to do that, but your community could be a mastermind where you share. I don't know if you all can hear this, but that was pretty loud right there. That was pretty loud thunder. I'm going to keep pushing forward because it looks like it might be settling down. I think it's passing over. We're just hearing the thunder. I hope. Expanding your circle. Expand your circle. You want to find your community. Find your people. It could be a mastermind, as I was saying. It could be a peer group. It could be just people you share recipes with. Find your group. Or create spaces or join spaces where mutual support is just the norm. You just do it because it's just what you do. I am in a mastermind and I love it. I hate when I miss our meetings because the people who are in that mastermind are so supportive. And we're all working on our own thing, but we all try to encourage each other. The other thing is you can always seek professional help through a therapist like me or a coach as part of your support system, not as something that's separate, but as part of the support system. Okay? So expand your circle. So I've just shared with you 4 practical steps through the thunder for building your support system. First, you start with awareness. Second, practice small asks. Third, be explicit about reciprocity. Name it. I value that we're both here for each other. 4, expand your circle. Find your people. Find your group. Find that space where you fit, where mutual support is the norm. So just remember, though, that a circle isn't about just finding people you can just dump on, you're dumping on. It's about building relationships that are genuine. And it's about where you have shared humanity, where everybody gets to be themselves. They can be themselves. And that can be very liberating for you as well as for others. So, this is just something, a few things I want you to remember before we go on to a few examples and action steps. I want you to remember that reciprocal support isn't 50-50 moment by moment. It's about trust. That's what a reciprocal support system is about. The other thing is asking for help isn't weakness. It's just an invitation for a deeper connection. When you ask for help and you receive it, it it brings you closer to that person when you're in a reciprocal Ubuntu like relationship. The other thing that I want to add, and I've been saying this repeatedly in different ways, is the strongest systems, the strongest support systems are reciprocal systems. They're not transactional, and um, they're not transactional, and they're not one directional. They're reciprocal. The other thing that I want to share with you is that you're not responsible for managing other people's capacity. Um, you're only responsible for asking, and asking clearly. So those are just a few things that I want to remind you of before we get to the real examples and the action steps. Okay. So it is raining. The rain is pouring down, but it is not thundering and lightning right now. Whew. Hopefully we've made it through. Now, sometimes the electricity goes out when we're in a deluge like this. So if the screen goes black and you can't see me, that means that electricity went out. So hopefully I can get through things before that happens. This is so funny. It's longer than I intended it to be because I keep getting distracted. But I hope this is helpful for you. And yeah, I really do. I hope this is very helpful for you. Okay, so let's get specific right now. And I know you're probably out there saying, okay, Marcy, I'm hearing what you're saying, and all of that sounds good, but can you give me some specific examples and specific instructions on how? How am I going to go about doing this? I got you. I got you. We're doing it right now. Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know why I'm being so silly, but I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun as you're watching this. Okay. Here's some examples. Some examples. Okay. So Susie comes to you, and well, no, you're Susie, and you want to go to Alice, and you want to ask for some practical help. Susie, you could say, Alice, I am overwhelmed. I have 3 projects that I need to finish. I know you're busy, but would you be willing to review what I've written? If not, I understand, but I wanted to ask. Okay? So I'll say that. I was saying it kind of slowly, but let me say it, as Susie would say it to Alice. Hey, Alice, I'm really overwhelmed because I have 3 projects, and I know you're busy, but would you be willing to review what I've written? If not, I understand, but I wanted to ask. Okay. This is asking for practical help. So why does this work? Okay. It works for the following reasons. First, it's specific. Susie was asking for Alice to review what she's written. Very specific. Susie also acknowledged Alice's time by saying, I know you're busy. She also gave Alice permission to say no. Isn't that great? She said, hey, if you can't do it, I understand, but I really wanted to ask. That is such a wonderful thing when people give you the opportunity to say no and they tell you it's okay to say no. The struggle is when you feel like, hey, I want to say no, but I don't know if I can, right? The way that was asked is, again, it's specific, it acknowledges Alice's time, and it gives Alice permission to say no. Let me give you another example. And this example is to ask for emotional support. So you're dealing with something, right? You're dealing with something. Okay, so here's a way you can do that. Susie again is coming to Alice. Let's say Alice is coming to Susie. Alice comes to Susie and says, Susie, I'm dealing with something that's made me very sad. Um, I may have to move from my apartment, and I could use a listening ear. Do you have 30 minutes this week? Okay. I'm dealing with something that makes me sad. I may have to move from my apartment. Could you use, and I could use a listening ear. Do you have 30 minutes this week? So why does this work? I'm going to tell you. It works because it's very clear. Alice needs somebody to just listen, and she doesn't demand an infinite amount of time. She said, I just need 30 minutes. I need 30 minutes this week. This week. Sometime this week. So it's very clear. It's finite in time, and it sets a boundary so that Susie doesn't have to set the boundary. Alice has done so herself. She needs 30 minutes this week, and she needs somebody to listen. Those are the boundaries, and it's time limited. That's why it works. Now, again, the examples that I've shared with you can fit for any time you have to ask or need to or want to ask for help. You don't have to use them. Like this example is not just for emotional support, and it's not just for practice. The other example is not just for asking for practical help. They can be interchanged. The key is they need to be specific. They need to be time limited or to acknowledge time and to set boundaries. There's different formats. That's basically what I'm saying. Okay. Okay. So I want to give you a third example, and this is to create mutual support. So here we go. So this is Joe. Joe's coming in. He works with Alice and Susie. Joe's coming in, and Joe says, I've been thinking about how much we all struggle with taking a break. During the day. What if we checked in daily to see if we are taking breaks the way we should? See if we've taken our allotted our time, our break. So Joe's saying, hey, we're all struggling. Let's check in on each other to see if we are taking the breaks like we need to. So why does this work? It works because it's mutual from the very beginning. Hey, I know we're all struggling. It's mutual. And it's not based on just Joe's need. It's based on everybody's need. Okay. So you have 3 examples of how to ask for help: asking for practical help, asking for emotional help, and asking and creating mutual aid to ask for help for all. Okay. What do you all think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Okay. So I've given you 3 examples as well as action steps. Excuse me. And I've done it through thunder and lightning. I hope you all will like this video. Just like it just for the fact that I kept going even through the thunder and the lightning and the rain because it's thundering again. Okay. Okay. See, I can see. Yeah. Anyway, let me get back on track and we're almost there. So, this is what I want you to do. I want to give you a challenge. And here's the challenge. And I want everybody who's watching this video to do this challenge. It's not big. It's small, but here we go. I want you to make one small, specific ask. Not anything big, just something very small, very minor. You can ask for a pencil. You can ask for a pen. You can ask for a paper clip. You can ask for help with the copier. Something that is small and something that is specific. Nothing big. And I just want you to allow someone to help you and notice what happens. Notice what happens. Notice how it feels to ask for one small thing and to receive. How it feels. Okay? That's what I want you to notice. What happens and how it feels. Just notice. No judgment, just notice. Asking is sometimes uncomfortable for people because we don't practice it a lot. Remember, you can be the giver all the time and you don't practice receiving because you don't ask. The more you practice, the easier it's going to get. So that's your challenge. That's your task. And I want to hear from you. Post in the comments what happened, what you noticed, and what you felt. Let me know. Also, like this video because I was strong. I was scared. I was concerned. Maybe not scared, but a little concerned. I'm around all these electronics and it's thundering and lightning. Anyway, before we close, these are the things that I want you to remember. Specific respects are an act of respect. When you make a specific request, it's an act of respect. Clarity is also kindness. And third, help isn't rejection of competence. When you ask for help, you're not saying that you're incompetent. You are facilitating collaboration. So, finally, the myth of the independent woman is costing us our health, our relationships, as well as our joy. The antidote is a reciprocal connection and reciprocal support. Well, that's all for now. I'm Marcelyn Bailey. As always, take good care.